But did it? Did you ever almost slip up?
No. I mean, I feel confident
because
in
your
that.
identity, you're so comfortable in it. You so know who you are.
Absolutely,
and
which
your
is not to
false
say that
self.
sometimes you have to do some fast thinking, but
Yeah.
I felt comfortable in what I was doing, and it's not, you're living it, you're doing it.
Yeah.
I will just speak hypothetically, but when you have an officer who, for instance, is under non-official cover versus official cover, say you're a businessman or a businesswoman, you're doing it. You're making money, which a lot of it goes back to the U.S. Treasury, but that's another story. But you're
fair.
doing, I mean, you are going to conferences.
Right.
You know this.
Living
you are
your
doing,
cover.
yes, absolutely. So
Living
it's
your
not.
And could any of those people get in touch with you now who came along then? Now that you're one of the most famous spies in the world.
You mean my former colleagues,
Well, the
or
people that you
the
were
contact?
working with in your fake identity.
I'm trying harder not to be found, but
Okay.
I can be found if need
Yeah,
be.
but they could call up and say, we need to go and have a drink now and talk about who you really are. So Hollywood's found you. There's going to be a movie?
I don't know, honestly.
Well,
I
what
mean,
would you like to have happen?
I think a movie, I'm all for it because movies can tell a story, and this is an important one in ways that books and interviews can't. It's very emotional, and this is certainly, quite a story.
Yeah.
At the same time, we don't have any control over that. There is a very good
Has
script.
it been bought? Has the book been bought?
I think so. I think there's an option, but I'm not sure if I'm getting the terminology right. I mean, because
Is there a producer or director attached?
not yet. But these are things that are. I don't mean to sound like
No,
I'm not
it's
paying
not fair.
attention. It's just it's totally out of my control,
Right.
and
But when you think about it, though, hypothetically, what would you want the movie to be about? What do you see? What do you see the real story being? Because it always has to get condensed for movies.
Sure.
Everything can't fit in.
I know the elevator speech, right?
Yeah.
I think it would be about speaking truth to power, the consequences of doing so. You've got a personal story. You have espionage, you have political intrigue, but I think overriding all of this is the theme of truth. And that's what I would hope to come across. I will probably have no input whatsoever into any of that,
Well,
but I would
think you
hope
probably have the option to, to
shape
wait.
it a certain way.
Well-
But that's what I would hope would come across, how important it is to hold your government to account for their words and deeds.
Now, Hollywood did come into your life, though, in a social way, and that was interesting. I think you went out for the first time in the middle of the drama, and is it Norman Lear and his wife who entertain you, and you end up at dinner, and who
With Warren.
who pulls your chair out?
I know. How surreal is
Well,
that?
you tell us how surreal it is. What have been the most surreal moments?
As I write about it in the book, I mean, meeting how fabulous this is. It's fun. It's these are all, you meet these people that you've seen on the screen. But in a way, a couple things occurred to me. One, we were like the zebra in the petting zoo. We were as exotic to them as they are to us.
I think you were even more exotic than their garden variety Washington person.
Yeah, they didn't. So they and for the movie stars that I have met are for the most part very intelligent and interested and have moved beyond their constraints
Right.
of being a Hollywood celebrity.
Do you have that relationship though now? So you have sort of a bi-coastal thing where you've got friends.
I do. I could.
So your world's expanded.
My
in
world
that
has
way.
expanded, much to
So
my
it's
surprise.
Not all horrible.
No, I mean this has been the most the most unexpected turn of events
Right.
all the way around. Joe and I refuse to be bitter about this. I don't want to be defined by this.
Right.
And there have been some very dark days, but there's also been Warren Beatty holding my chair for dinner.
Yeah. Well, and maybe in the future too. Maybe playing Joe. You never know.
There you go.
Did you get $2 million for the book?
Oh, I'm not going to comment on any of that.
But did you do well on the book? Did
you know,
it solve some of your financial problems?
considering both of us were, government workers,
Right,
the right wing
right.
attacked and destroys Joe's consulting business
Right.
completely. We had serious legal debts, of which we're still dealing with and paying off. And my career was prematurely ended. So, and we have 2 small children that we're looking at college.
What's the amount of your debt that's hanging out there now?
Well, thank you for asking. This was not a planned question, but for those
No,
that
it
are
wasn't.
interested,
None of this is.
No, but we have a website. It's wilsonsupport.org.
Right.
It tells all about the civil suit.
Right.
We are being assisted by that with Citizens for Responsibility Ethics in Washington,
Right.
CREW, which is a nonpartisan group that believes in transparency and government accountability, which we can sign up to. But there are still significant legal debts.
Can you put a number on it? Is it 3 million, 5 million?
Do you know how much lawyers cost in
I
this
do
town?
know. That's why I'm curious to
lots,
know.
thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
So did nobody represent you pro bono?
CREW is doing this pro bono
Okay.
now. We still have existing liabilities from filing the civil suit. But even, as I found out, even when it's pro bono, there's still significant expenses attached
Yeah.
to taking something. I had no idea.
It costs money to be in the eye of the storm.
It really does. And this is how revolutions are fought in this country, is through the justice system. And it costs money to do that.
But you will do a paperback.
I assume that will happen. I'm
You're hoping it can have more.
Yeah,
But
fewer
even,
redactions.
But even with the redactions, it's there's a story that and I actually found, I can say this, you may not be able to, that in almost every instance I just figured, well, it's 20 years because I approximately know how old you are, and I know that you were trying to work toward retirement, or what's the government retirement, and so I'm just putting in 20 years or any references that fall into the 1980s or the 1990s. Did you get a government pension?
I have to be very careful here.
Well, you're entitled, aren't you?
Under the CIA's, I will choose my words carefully, under the CIA regulations, you need to be 50 years old
You're
and
not
have
that.
20 years. That's all I'll say.
Well, I can say you're not 50, but I think I can also say you had 20 years. Now, when you turn 50, will you then be able to go back to them and say, can I get my money now, please?
Again, I have to be, I don't want to wade into territory here that's still under
Okay,
consideration.
well, while we're talking about enigmatic things, let's end with this one that I just love. It was a question you were asked, and I'm going to ask it of you and see if you can add any illumination to it. It's when, in the process of, I believe, you're applying or you're getting trained at the CIA, you were asked, do you like tall women? What possible message were they going to get out of that?
I have no idea how I did on that question. I still.
What was your answer?
I don't. I think I said yes, but as it turns out, you're probably familiar with it, Myers-Briggs.
Right.
So it turns out apparently I'm an off-the-chart ENTJ, and for whatever that means, that they decided that I would go into operations.
Do you? Right. So,
Yeah, so,
and
yeah.
do you like tall
I like
women?
short
Is
men,
part of
tall
that
women,
Yellow shoes, babies and kittens. But well, Valerie, it's been great to have you here. You are terrific and a good friend, and thank you for keeping your word. And when I said, will you appear at the Q&A Cafe, you said yes, you did it. And
Absolutely.
we're really happy to have you here. And come back anytime. And I'm going to whisk Valerie around the side so that you can buy her book and have her sign it. And thank you all very much, and I hope to see you next week.
Thank you.